The fishing news is brought to you by Navionics, Okuma, Yozuri, Evinrude, Llama Glass, and the Star Island Yacht Club in Montauk, New York.
Hi there, Toby Lapinski for the New England edition of the Fisherman magazine with this week's web video fishing forecast for New England. As you can see, I'm inside today. We got some colder, windier weather, so wasn't able to step outside. But as you recall, a couple of weeks ago, I had a really nice backdrop. As I noted, I was down in Florida doing a little special event with the magazine. But unfortunately at that time, I couldn't fill you in on exactly what was going on. Well, thankfully for us all, the time has come. I can finally make the big announcement. As you're probably already aware from my past weekly videos mentioning it a little bit, as well as the March issue of the Fisherman magazine, we here at the Fisherman magazine have launched, or are launching this year, a brand new subscriber-only kayak fishing tournament called the Coastal Kayak Clash. Well, when I was down in Florida a couple of weeks ago, I went along with the guys from Old Town. They've been great friends of ours for a while now, and they debuted actually at that event. It's officially to the market this week, a brand new series of boats, which they're calling the Old Town Sportsman line. Well, the flagship model in this line of boats is the Sportsman Autopilot kayak. That is going to be the grand prize for the first annual Coastal Kayak Clash. Now, what might you ask is so special about this new kayak? Well, let's start on the boat side of things. Up here in the Northeast, saltwater fishermen, boat-wise again, one of the biggest innovations in recent years has been the acceptance of that which our our freshwater brethren have been using for a long time, and that's the trolling motor. Couple in, hands-free anchoring systems like Spot Lock, which is offered by the guys at Minn Kota, and you have an absolutely amazing tool for us to use here in the Northeast, and you are extremely likely these days to see several boats outfitted with a trolling motor when you're out in the saltwater, which you wouldn't see 5, 6, 7 years ago. It was real rarity. Well, fortunately, the guys at at Old Town have now incorporated this technology into their latest kayaks as part of that 7-boat Sportsman series, including the Autopilot. The Autopilot comes in 12 and 13.5 foot models, and they come standard with a 45-pound thrust Minn Kota trolling motor, complete with iPilot system, so you've got spot lock, you've got track headings, and so on. It allows the kayak anglers to use the technology that the boats have been using all along in a fully incorporated unit, instead of having to get add-ons and adding a trolling motor on the bow, the stern, wherever there's been a lot of rigging that has been going on in the last years. This is the first kayak coming with it standard installed. And I gotta say, I was using one of these kayaks when I was down in Florida a couple of weeks ago, and I was blown away at what I was able to do with it. We're working shoreline at one point, pitching baits up underneath mangroves. Now, granted, it's not something we have generally up here, but I immediately saw the benefit. I could set a heading, pitch baits. When I got onto a bite, spot lock, sit right there. Well, how are we going to be able to use that here in the Northeast? Let's see. Let's say you're fishing for striped bass. You want to set up on a rip. You want to set up on a certain spot. Previously, you either had to pedal, keep yourself in place, pitch an anchor, what have you. Now you just hit that spot lock button. The boat holds you right there. Black fishermen. Whether you're sitting over a rock pile or on a break wall, just like the boats do, roll up, spot lock, boom, start fishing. Now, there's going to be far-reaching advantages we're going to find out as we go along. I did a quick little video clip just to show you in a quick example of the technology in the boat. I was zipping along 10 miles an hour, hit the spot lock button, it locked up, showed what it did, and then kept on going. So I'm going to cut away to that clip in just a moment here. And I'm going to have, however, I want to let you know, a full video on the kayak coming out next week. Should have it on Monday, as well as the full electronic version of the announcement of the Coastal Kayak Clash. So be sure to stay tuned for that. And let's check out the video right now. So that's right, Toby Lapinski here down in Florida, down in Fort Lauderdale with the good guys from Old Town, doing a little demo test media product unveiling of the new Minn Kota powered Old Town's Sportsman line. Right now I'm playing around, just hit up the old spot lock here, so we are locked in spot here. I'm not moving, gives me a minute or two to sort of get my bearings set up. Just a minute ago we set up above a bridge, for instance. Pitching baits back down into the current. We had some snook down in there. None of us were able to land any of them, but we had quite a few good hits. But we had wind, we had current, was able to set up that spot lock, stand up, pitch the baits back in, just like I was standing on your regular bass boat down here, flats boat, excuse me. Gonna have some great crossover appeal for us up in the Northeast. I'm psyched to get this spot lock concept on a kayak for blackfish season. That's just going to totally revolutionize how kayak guys hit the blackfish spots. I mean, it's already changing things in leaps and bounds for the boats. Now we've got it spot lock enabled kayak from the good friends here at Old Town. So I'm sure we got more coming for you. One more quick look here and I will touch base later. Well, of course, that's just a little snippet, just a quick little tease showing you what this boat can do. You're going to start seeing some more coverage from us on this, of course. Going to have the final details of all of the prizes for the Coastal Kayak Clash coming out in the April issue, as well as a full breakdown kayak buyer's guide that I just put the finishing touches on. So again, that is due out in April as well. So for all you kayak anglers out there, good luck with the tournament this year. Check out the website for more details on that tournament. All right, moving along, fishing wise. I keep getting asked about it, but I haven't spoken to anyone directly who's been out on the water for cod in at least a week and a half, if not more. And the winds that are keeping me inside today are not helping things either. It didn't look like the next couple of days were going to be all that good, and couple that in with the fact that it's blowing so hard right now, it's going to dirty up those waters. But don't fret, there's other fishing opportunities out there. Holdover striped bass action's been pretty good this year in all the tidal rivers. Heard from Scott Schneider. He's one of the fishing team members for the guys over at Black Hall Outfitters. Scott's been getting into, he's been hitting some of the local tidal rivers at night in Connecticut, doing pretty well. No giants, no really big fish, but there's been a lot of 12 to 24 inch class fish being had. You know, it's a good way to pass a couple hours on an evening in the summer, and excuse me, in the winter, when you're dreaming about fishing in the summer. A lot of those fish are still keyed in the deep water, somewhat sluggish, so you're going to want to go with lead heads, with soft plastics, whether it's sluggos, finesse fish, the likes. If you do find some fish moving up in the shallow flats, if we get a little warm spell or a little bit of rain, you can switch over to plastic swimmers, redfins, bombers, SP minnows. One thing I always urge you though for the winter holdover fishery, crush your barbs and use single hooks whenever possible. On those plastic swimmers, you can swap them out for single inlines, and of course jigs, it's already coming with a single hook. The other best bet in town or in the region this week is hands down probably what has been the best fishery all winter long, and that is for trout. Massachusetts anglers have been taking advantage of the fact that they don't have a closed season in the Bay State, coupled with a lot of the open water that we've been seeing, and they've been getting on fish for quite some time. However, to further boost this action, the state began stocking fish out on the Cape, as well as a little bit over onto the mainland this week. Now, they usually begin well out east and move west as the lakes and ponds free themselves of ice lock. But as just noted a moment ago, that's not going to be too big of an issue. A lot of the spots mid and western state are open or have very little ice, so it's not going to take long for them to be able to move right across the state and stock more lakes. Now, according to the stocking list for Massachusetts on the website at mass.gov, rainbows begin getting trucked out every day this week, with stops in some of the more popular places. Now, going forward, in more popular spots on the Cape and around Boston area, going forward, they said the state plans to stock more than 500,000 fish total this spring. Now, that includes more than 48,000 each on brook trout and brown trout, more than 200,000 rainbow trout, and more than 2,500 tiger trout. So get out there this weekend. If you're in Massachusetts, you're going to have a lot of trout opportunities and ever increasing opportunities. So give that website a check as well, mass.gov. Check the fisheries department and you can see exactly what lakes have been stocked and what kind of fish and on what date they were stocked. But it's not just Massachusetts that's been stocking. Connecticut has been taking advantage of the rather mild winter we've had, and they got a head start on its annual stocking program a couple of weeks ago. Now, primarily they've been hitting those trout management areas where catch and release angling is allowed year-round. However, as of March 1st, most of the remaining trout-stocked waters that are not specially managed close down to angling of any sort. So that means if it's a regular trout-stocked lake, pond, and there's largemouth in there and you want to go after largemouth, you cannot do that. If they've got trout, you got to make sure that it's still open. Most of them have closed. However, some of the special management lakes do remain open. Those are the trout management lakes, and that is where the state started stocking this week. Those lakes carry special limits. It's a 1 fish daily bag limit and a 16-inch minimum length. Basically like some of the trout management areas, the rivers and streams, trying to boost the population of fish in there. They're doing the same thing in lakes. Now the fish stock this week went into Crystal Lake up in Ellington, Amos Lake, Quinnipiac Lake, Rogers Lake, Highland Lake, West Hill Pond, Squance Pond, East Twin Lake. So a bit of, all around the state. But what's really interesting is included with the standard fish that we always see getting stocked, 9 to 12-inch fish, which obviously would fall below harvestable limits. They also put a lot of large adult trout in. Now these are 16-inch average with some fish as large as 24 inches. One of those lakes only received those large 16-inch plus fish. So there are some really good trout opportunities added this week in Connecticut. And last up, since we've got the trout getting stocked, since we're starting getting into the little bit warmer weather, people are starting to wake up, get out and fish. Got to remind you, if you do get out and fish today, tomorrow, next week, what have you, be sure to take some pictures, especially of those trout. I'll take any species, but early on I really like some of those spring trout, once we get blackfish opening, when we get winter flounder, stuff like that. Take some pictures and send them along to me at Lapinski@thefisherman.com, because I'm already starting to fill those weekly Fisherman issues that come in between the monthlies. They begin in April, and I need and want some fresh fish photos. Because we haven't had a whole lot of cod fishing this winter, I haven't been getting to that, but I've been getting a slow stream of ice and open water angler photos, but not enough. So I'm urging you, if you're sitting on some photos, send them to me, email them over to me, of course, send the original high resolution, unedited photo, a little description, throw your name, location, whatever other stuff you want to put in there. I'm obviously going to select a couple of these for cover shots, add them into the videos, put them in the reports, in print, and so on. So urging you, as we're starting to get out and fish, to take photos and send them on over to us here at the Fisherman Magazine. All right, well there you have it. I'm Toby Lapinski for the New England edition of the Fisherman Magazine, wishing you tight lines if you head out onto the water this weekend.